So our topic is about business functions and supply chain. So after completing this chapter, you students will be able to first identify the various business functions and the role of IS and these functions. Explain how IS in the basic business function relate to each other. Articulate what supply chains are and how information technology supports management of supply chains. And last, enumerate the purpose of the customer relationship management systems. So let's begin with the definition of the supply chain. So a supply chain, that is a group of entities that are directly linked by one or more of the upstream and downstream flows from a source to a customer. So that is from the development of the product going to the supplier to the customer. It is the management of a network of interconnected business involved in providing end customers with the ultimate product and service package. So supply chain management includes from point of origin to point of consumption. So that is from the factory to the consumer. So all transportation and processing of raw materials, work in process stocks and finished goods. So that is under the supply chain management. So the main objective of the supply chain management is to monitor and relate production, distribution, and shipment of products and services. So this can be done by companies with a very good and tight hold over internal inventories, production, distribution, internal production, and sales. So as you can see in the diagram, the origin is from the supplier going to the manufacturer, and then it will distribute through the through transportation, through shipment, and then through retailer, and of course going to the consumer, which is the shopper. All of this goes with the product information and finances. So what are the benefits of supply chain management? The advantage. First is to develop better customer relationship and service. So through supply chain management, we can have a good relationship from the supplier to the customer. And then it creates better delivery mechanism for products and services in demand with minimum delay. So we can have a shipper of our product. Then it provides us productivity and business functions. Then it minimizes warehouse and transportation costs. Transportation costs for the buyer or for the consumer. And then minimizes direct and indirect costs, so we can avoid outside expenses. Then assists in achieving shipping of right products to the right place at the right time. So we can easily track the product, the purchased product. And then we have enhances inventory management, supporting the successful execution of just-in-time stock models. And then assists companies in adapting to the challenges of globalization, economic upheaval, expanding consumer expectations, and related differences. And then, of course, assists companies in minimizing waste, driving out costs, and achieving efficiencies throughout the supply chain process. So those are the benefits or the advantage of supply chain management. So what are the goals? What are the goals of supply chain management? So the first goal is to supply chain partners work collaboratively at different levels. So it is used to maximize resource productivity, construct standardized processes, and then of course, remove duplicate efforts and minimize inventory levels. And then the other one is the minimization of supply chain expenses. So this is very essential, especially when there are economic uncertainties in companies regarding their wish to conserve capital. And then the other one is value creation for their customer. So cost efficient and cheap products are necessary, but supply chain managers need to concentrate on this value creation for customer. And then exceeding the customer's expectations. So on a regular basis is the best way to satisfy them. So if they're satisfied with their with our product, with our delivery, so we can meet their expectations, and then increase expectation of clients for higher product variety, customized goods, off-season availability of inventory, and rapid fulfillment at a cost comparable to in-store offerings should be a match. And then merchants need to leverage inventory. So to meet consumer expectation, merchant needs to leverage inventory as a shared resource and utilize the distributed order management technology and to complete orders from the optimal node in the supply chain. So those are the goals of the supply chain management. Okay. How about the process of the supply chain management? So as you can see in the diagram, it begins with the plan. So it is a repeated cycle, then going to develop, make, deliver, return. So those are the processes or the cycle of the supply chain. So for the first one is the plan. So that is the initial stage of the supply chain process. It is needed to develop a plan or a strategy in order to address how the products and services will satisfy the demands and necessities of the customers. So in this stage, the planning should mainly focus on designing a strategy that yields a maximum profit. Okay, the second one is develop or source. So in this stage, mainly concentrate on building a strong relationship with suppliers of the raw materials required for production. So this involves not only identifying dependable suppliers, but also determining different planning methods for shipping, delivery, and payment of the product. Companies need to select suppliers to deliver the items and services they require to develop their product. So that is under the develop. The next one is make. So that is the third step in the supply chain management process. So the manufacturing or making of products that were demanded by the customer. So in this stage, the products are designed, produced, tested, packaged, and synchronized for delivery. Okay, the next one is the delivery stage. The products are delivered to the customer at the destined location by the supplier. So this stage is basically the logistics space where customer orders are accepted and delivery of the goods are planned. So that is deliver. Then we have the last one, which is the return. So that is the last and the final stage of supply chain management. So in this stage, defective or damaged goods are returned to the supplier by the customer. So here, the companies need to deal with customers' queries and respond to their complaints. That is the return. That is the processes or the process of the supply chain management. So we have the first one, the plan, and then we have develop, make, deliver, and return. Okay, so in addition, we have the supply chain management system process. As you can see in the diagram, it begins with adding an item to the cart. So that is shopping. Shops using catalogs or forms or using a website. We can add an item we wish to purchase in the website. And then after that, we will make a requisition or purchase requisition. So requisition creator, authorization, approval, and purchasing. So after that process, we can now have our purchase order from the supplier, where the supplier provides the receipts PO, fulfills goods and services. So after that, after purchase order, we have the fulfillment. So fulfillment, that is receiving goods and services from the supplier. So after that, we can now have our voucher entry, review, and approval. So it involves the invoice, two-way match, and the voucher approval. So after having that one, we can now have our payment. So payment can be done through online banking or e-wallet, or we can also have the cash on delivery mode. So that is the supply chain management process. Okay, so there are three different types of flow in supply chain management. So this is under the supply chain management process flow. We have the material flow, information or data flow, and the money flow. So for the material flow, it includes a smooth flow of an item from the producer to the customer. That is material flow. While for the information or data flow, comprises the request for quotation, purchase order, monthly schedules, engineering change requests, quality complaints, and reports on supplier performance from customer side to the supplier. That is information or the data flow. And the last process flow is the money flow. So money flow, on the basis of the invoice raised by the producer, the clients examine the order for correctness. So if the claims are correct, money flows from the client to the respective producer. So flow of money is also observed from the producer's side to the clients in the form of the debit notes. So those are the three flows of the supply chain management. So that is the diagram. So from the vendor going to sourcing, inbound storage or transportation, going to operation, and then outbound using a transportation again, and then consumer distribution to until it reaches the consumer. So it involves the material flow, the information flow, and the money flow. Okay, the next one, supply chain management components, we have the transportation. So transportation or shipment is necessary for an uninterrupted and seamless supply. So it's just like the Lazada and the Shopee, they have their own mode of transportation. So the major elements that influence transportation, we have the long-term decisions, the lane operation decisions, the choice and mode of carrier, and dock level operations. So for the long-term decisions, the transportation managers should acknowledge the supply freight flow and accordingly design the network layout. So we can say a long-term decision, we mean that the transportation manager has to select what should be the primary mode of transportation. So they can choose whether it is through trucking or through ship or through plane. So that is a long-term decision. And when we have a lane operations decision, so for the lane operation decision, the transportation managers work on real-time information on products requirements at different system nodes and must collaborate every move of the products that is both inbound and outbound shipping lanes so as to satisfy their service demands at the minimal possible cost. Is lane operations decision. And then we have the choice and mode of carrier. So choice and mode of carrier. So for example, a rail container service may offer a package that is cost efficient and effective as compared to a motor transport. So while making a decision, the manager has to consider the service criteria that need to be met, like the delivery time, the date special handling requirements, while also taking into consideration the element of cost, which would be an important factor. And then, of course, we have the dock level operations. So this involves for the last level of decision making. So this comprises planning, routing, and scheduling. So for example, if a carriage is being loaded with different customers' order, the function of the deck level managers is to assure that the driver is informed of the most efficient route and that loads are placed in the order of the plant stop. So they need to identify the location where they're going to drop the product. Then the driver should know it. Okay, so let's proceed with the second component, the warehousing. So warehousing, it plays a vital role in the supply chain process. So in today's industry, the demands and expectation of the customers are undergoing a tremendous change. So warehousing, this is where the product or the stock product is being stored. So warehouse, that is what warehousing means. And then we have also sourcing and procurement. So sourcing and procurement are a vital part of the supply chain management. So the company decides if it wants to perform all the exercises internally or if it desires to get it done by any other independent firm. So this is commonly referred to as the make versus buy decision. Make from the source, make from the supplier, and buy from the consumer. Then returns management. It can be defined as the management that invites the merger of challenges and opportunities for inbound logistics. So a cost-effective reverse logistic program links the available supply of returns with the product information and demand for repairable items or recaptured materials. So there are three pillars that supports the return management. We have the speed. So it is a must to have a quick and easy returns management and automate decisions regarding whether to produce return material authorization. Then visibility. So for improving the visibility and predictability, information needs to be captured initially in the process, ideally prior to delivering the return to the receiving dock. And then we have control. So in case of returns management, synchronizing material movements is a common issue that needs to be handled. So the producer needs to be very cautious and pay close attention to receipts and reconciliation, and update the stakeholders of impending quality issues. So that is control. Okay, another component is the post-sale service. So the post-sale services comprise selling spare parts, installing upgrades, performing inspection, maintenance, and repairs, offering training and education, and consulting. So that is post-sales service. Another component is, okay, so those are the, that is the last component. We have the post-sale service. So again, we have the transportation, we have the warehousing, the post-sale service. Okay, so let's now proceed with the decision phase of supply chain management. So decision phases can be defined as the different stages involved in the supply chain management. So for taking an action or decision related to some products or services. So we have three phases. We have the supply chain strategy. So in this phase, the decision is taken by the management mostly. So the decision to be made considers the section like long-term prediction and involves price of goods that are very expensive if it goes wrong. And the other one is supply chain planning. So this should be done according to the demand and supply view. So this phase includes starting from predicting the market demand, to which market will be provided the finished goods, to which plant is planned in this stage. And then we have the supply chain operations. That is the third and the last decision. It consists of the various functional decisions that are to be made instantly within minutes, hours, or days. So those are the decision phases of supply chain management. So let's proceed with the performance measures. So we can measure the SCM through qualitative and quantitative. So when we said qualitative, it for example, we have the customer satisfaction and the product quality. While quantitative measures, this involves the order to delivery lead time, supply chain response time, flexibility, resource utilization, and delivery performance. So those are the two measures of the performance for the SCM. Okay, so let's proceed with the non-financial measures. That is the metrics of non-financial measures comprise cycle time, customer service level, the inventory levels, resource utilization, ability to perform, flexibility, and the quality. That is non-financial measures. So it has four dimensions. The cycle time, which is called the lead time. We have also the customer service level. So customer service level, it has different measures. We have the order fill rate, the stock out rate, the back order level, and the probability of the on-time delivery. And then we have the inventory levels. So inventory levels, so as the inventory carrying cost increase, the total cost significantly, it is essential to carry a sufficient inventory to meet the customer demands. So it is divided into four categories. We have the raw materials, inventory for the raw materials, inventory for work in process, inventory for finished goods, and inventory for spare parts. And then the last dimension is the resource utilization. So your resource utilization in a supply chain network, huge variety of resources is used. So these different types of resources available for different applications. So we have the manufacturing resources, which include the machines, material handlers, the tools. The storage resources comprises warehouses, automated storage and retrieval system. Then logistic resources engage truck, rail transport, air cargo carrier. And then we have also the human resources, consists of labor, scientific and technical personnel. And then we have also the financial resources. So include working capital or stock. So this all involves in the resource utilization. Okay, so let's proceed with strategic sourcing. So strategic sourcing can be defined as a collective and organized approach to supply chain management that defines the way information is gathered and used so that an information can leverage its consolidated purchasing power to find the best possible values in the marketplace. So understanding the spend category, the 5 major regions that are analyzed in the first stage, we have the complete previous expenditure records and volumes, expenditures divided by items and the sub-items, expenditures by division, department or user, and expenditures by the supplier. And last is the future demand projections or budgets. That is how they categorize the expenses. Another strategic sourcing is supplier market assessment. So the second step includes a frequent assessment of the supplier market for pursuing substitute suppliers to present incumbents. And then we have also the third step, which is the supplier survey. So it is used in developing a supplier analysis for both incumbent and potential substitute supplier. And then we have also the building strategy. So building the strategy, this is the fourth, comprises constructing the sourcing strategy. The merger of the first 3 steps supports the necessary elements for the sourcing strategy. Okay, then so let's proceed with the make versus buy. So make versus buy. So production units are identified mostly with their decision to make or buy. So in other words, do they wish to produce the desired product on their own, or do they want to purchase it from the foreign market? So the make versus buy decision of a nation depends on 3 pillars. These are the business strategy, the risk, and the economic factors. Okay, that's the next one is networks, supply chain management networks. So the network design in supply chain determines its physical arrangement, design, structural layout, and infrastructure of the supply chain. So we have the warehouse location. So when companies expand their branches into various new locations, they need new storage places as well. So the company here faces a warehouse location problem. So within the set of probable choices in location, the one thing that has a minimal fixed cost and operational cost by fulfilling the required demand is chosen. Then we have also the traffic network design. So with the growing population, the traffic in cities is increasing. So because of the higher transportation demand, the traffic networks have also been widened. So since the budget allotted is usually limited, the major issue is to determine which projects should be constructed to develop flow inside a traffic network. And then the last one is reshoring. So reshoring, this phenomenon has emerged recently because of the rising costs and other circumstances. So it is the exercise of bringing outsourced products and services back to the source point from which they were originally shipped. So it outlines the process of moving some or all producing back to its original source. So that is reshoring. Okay, let's proceed with the network models. So network models, we have the producer storage with direct shipping. Then we have also producer storage with direct shipping and in-transit merge or cross-docking. Then we have distributor storage with package carrier delivery. Distributor storage with last mile delivery, and producer or distributor storage with customer pickup. And then we have retail storage with customer pickup. So those are the network models. Okay, so let's proceed with the inventory management. So that is one of the basic objectives of SCM, is to make sure that all the activities and functions within as well as across the company are managed efficiently. So one of the basic objectives of SCM is to make sure that all the activities and functions within as well as across the company are managed efficiently. So the most common fundamental function that inventory has in supply chains are, first, to supply and support the balance of demand and supply, and to effectively cope with the forward and reverse flows in the supply chain. Okay, so let's proceed with the pricing and revenue. So pricing and revenue, pricing is a factor that cheers up profits in supply chain through an appropriate match of supply and demand. So revenue management can be defined as the application of pricing to increase the profit produced from limited supply of supply chain assets. So revenue management plays a major role in supply chain and has a share of credit in the profitability of supply chain when one or more of the following conditions exist. We have the product value differs in different market segments. Then the product is highly perishable or product tends to be defective. Then demand has a seasonal and other peaks. And then the product is sold both in bulk and the spot market. Then supply chain integration can be defined as a close calibration and collaboration with a supply chain, mostly with the application of shared management information. Okay, let's proceed with the CRM or the customer relationship management. So CRM is an enterprise application module. So that is also an information system that manages a company's interaction with current and future customers by organizing and coordinating sales and marketing and providing better customer service along with technical support. So why do we need to use CRM? First reason is to keep track of all present and future customers. So we can easily identify the number of customers we have. And of course, to identify the target, to identify and target the best customers. So the best customers is the one who always purchase your product. Then to let the customers know about the existing as well as the new products and services. For the customer to know the new product provided by the supplier. And then to provide a real-time and personalized service based on the needs and habits of the existing customer. So real-time, they could easily respond through chat, and then to provide superior service and consistent customer experience, and of course to implement a feedback system. So just like in the Lazada, once you purchase a product, you can rate it through using a star. So 5-star, that is the highest rate for a product. So that is very significant for the seller, because through that they can have more purchase or more sales. Then advantages of CRM is to provide better customer service and increases customer revenues. Then discovers new customers, cross-sells and upsells products more effectively. Then help sales staff to close deals faster. Then makes call centers more efficient. And it simplifies marketing and sales processes. So if there are benefits, we also have disadvantages. So sometimes record loss is a major problem in the CRM. And then of course, overhead costs. Then they need to provide training to employees. That is also an issue to a small organization. So those are the disadvantages of CRM. Okay. Let's proceed with the ERP, or the Enterprise Resource Planning. So ERP is an integrated, real-time, cross-functional enterprise application, an enterprise-wide transaction framework that supports all the internal business processes of a company. So these are the example of the ERP system. We have the finance, the human resource. So human resource that is used in processing the payroll of the company. We have also logistic management, maintenance management. So that's all of that falls in the ERP system. So why ERP? So business integration and automated data updates. Then linkage between all core business processes and easy flow of integration. Then through ERP, we can have a flexibility in business operations and more agility to the company. Then better analysis and planning capabilities. We can also have a critical decision making. Then competitive advantage. So having an ERP is an advantage to the company. Then of course, we can have the latest technologies through the ERP. So what are the scope of ERP? So ERP, we have the finance, logistics, human resource, supply chain, and the flow. So that is the scope of the ERP. Then what are the advantages? So with ERP software, accurate forecasting can be done. Then integration of the various departments. Adopting ERP software eradicates problems, and ERP software provides a top-down view of an organization. Then the disadvantage, adopting ERP system can be expensive. So you need to spend more money when you have your ERP. Then the lack of boundaries created by ERP software in a company can cause problems. So sometimes you need to train the employee who will use the ERP software. So that is other disadvantage.